If you keep silent at this time, relief and deliverance will come to the Jewish people from another place. But you and your father's family will be destroyed. Who knows? Perhaps you have come to your royal position for such a time as this. The other day, I was watching a Bible study on Facebook, and as I felt like God was prompting me that 1, I needed to read through the book of Esther, and 2, that I needed to start teaching it every day. Okay, God, I'm on it. It hasn't been right away or every day since he told me this, but I'm on it. But he failed to mention a few things, or maybe he just chose not to mention a few things, like who am I supposed to be teaching, or what social platform am I supposed to be sharing this on? How long is the message supposed to be? Or how about this? Am I supposed to edit this before I post this? I don't edit videos. I have no idea what I'm supposed to do. So I'm winging this. Guys, this is what winging this looks like. It doesn't have to be perfect, and it's not going to be, because honestly, I'm not going to edit these videos. Whatever comes out, and I hope you enjoy them. And so, in all of this, I have questions. But you know what? I'm sure Esther did too. Like when her uncle Mordecai sent her to take part in the Pagan King's beauty contest. She's a good Jewish girl, and she's being sent into the Pagan King's beauty contest. More about that later. Okay. It's also probably not the decision I would have made, but you know what? God works in mysterious ways. One of the really interesting things about the book of Esther is that God is actually not mentioned in the midst of all of this. It talks about, basically the book of Esther is about God's providence, how he continues to intervene for his people, even when they're not directly seeking him the way that he would want them to. Okay, so I think you need a little bit of backstory. If you see me looking off to the side, I am reading very heavily off of notes. There's a lot of content, and I don't want to forget things. So, backstory. We step in meeting Ahasuerus. It's a royal Persian name that occurs throughout the Old Testament, and it immediately precedes the name Artaxerxes in the line of the Persian kings. So Ahasuerus is actually considered to be Xerxes, who would have been Artaxerxes' father, since there is no other name similar to Ahasuerus that is listed with the Median kings. Okay, so he was born in 518 BC and became the king of Persia in 485 BC at the age of 33. I'm going to pause here a minute in the introduction of Ahasuerus, and I'm going to give you some information about the number 30, which is very important, I think. So the number 30 is frequently referenced in the Bible as a time when you have reached maturity. It would be a time when you'd be placed into the ministry, or you could step into the ministry, or a time when you would be placed into some type of a leadership position. That was just 30 was frequently that role. So some examples of that. Joseph was 30 when he moved into the second position in command underneath Pharaoh, and that's in Genesis 41:46. Priests entered service officially at age 30, Numbers 4:3. When he was 30, when he was 30, David became the king, and that's in 2 Samuel 5:4. God called Ezekiel to be a prophet at 30, Ezekiel 1:1. John the Baptist left the wilderness at age 30 to pave the way for Jesus the Messiah. We know that John the Baptist was about 30 because the Bible tells us he was born 6 months before Jesus. And then Jesus himself was about 30 years old when he began his ministry. So if you do the math between when Jesus started his ministry and John being born 6 months before Jesus, you get your time frame for that. Okay, so King Ahasuerus is 33 when he enters into this leadership role as the king. And this is where I want to jump into our text. I'm reading out of the CSB, the Christian Standard Bible, in Esther 1:1. If you didn't get the fact that I'm teaching Esther from when I was sharing before, then I'm teaching from Esther. So if you want to pull out your Bibles and read along with me, I'll try to do better on my next video recording about telling you like what sections we're going to be reading. So Esther 1:1. You can also pause this and do this on your own. It's a video. Like I said, no editing. Okay. These events took place during the days of Ahasuerus, who ruled 127 provinces from India to Kush. There's a very good amount of provinces that he ruled over. I'm also going to try to put links below this video to resources. If it was places that I got information or other things that you may want to read through, I'll put that down below. So he was in charge of 127 provinces from India to Kush. In those days, King Ahasuerus reigned from his royal throne in the fortress at Susa. He held a feast in the 3rd year of his reign for all his officials and the staff, the army of Persia and Media, the nobles and the officials from the provinces. He displayed the glorious wealth of his kingdom and the magnificent splendor of his greatness for a total of 180 days. 180 days. 6 months, right? Math, think, yeah, 6 months. I have never been to a party that lasted for 6 months. I have no idea what that would look like, but I'm sure it would be crazy. So it is what it is on that. BibleStudy.org says that the 180 days is a length of time of festivity in their land. Possibly a few of the governors and the nobles would come, and when they left, another group would come. So basically, if King Ahasuerus or Xerxes was throwing this 6-month-long party and he's throwing it for all of the nobles of the other lands, most of them are not going to be able to just drop their job for 6 months and come be a part of this party the whole time. So it's likely that some of them would have come in with their officials and their army and stuff like that, and then they would have just rotated through the process over this 180 days and just repeated this. So we don't know exactly how those details worked out because it's not specifically stated, but that's what could be inferred from the text and from some other historical documents. Okay, now, why would King Ahasuerus do this? Why would he throw a 180-day party? I mean, parties are not cheap. And as we get into the rest of the text, we're also going to find out that the type of party that he threw was incredibly not cheap. He pulled out all the stops to be able to make this happen. Sorry about the barking in the background. Okay. So this was actually a type of diplomatic party. It could have involved as many as 15,000 people. There's all different types of numbers about where this could have landed, but at the very least, think of all the governors from all the other provinces coming in, bringing in a bunch of their people. There would have been a lot. Really big party. So he was trying to show off his power and his wealth to get them to join into his campaign against Greece. So the Greek historian Herodotus, and forgive me if I butcher names, said that in the 3rd year of Xerxes, or Ahasuerus' reign, there was a grand assembly to plan war against Greece. So Ahasuerus' dad initially had started this big conquest against Greece, and he wasn't able to finish it, and he wanted Xerxes to go ahead and follow along after him in that and to take things over. So this could have been him just following the plans and going to take over Greece. So I'm going to read through this next bit of scripture super slowly. Just absorb it and take a second and just imagine what this would have looked like, okay? At the end of this time, so the end of the 180 days, the king held a week-long banquet in the garden courtyard of the royal palace for all of the people, from the greatest to the least, who were present in the fortress of Susa. White and violet linen hangings were fastened with fine white and purple linen cords to silver rods on marble columns. Gold and silver couches were arranged on mosaic pavement of red feldspar, marble, mother of pearl, and precious stones. Okay, this must have just been gorgeous. I mean, I can't imagine having these gold and silver couches that you're sitting on. You've got these really pretty purple and white hangings that are on marble pillars on these silver rods, and then they've got these really nice cords that are tying them back. I mean, it's just lavish. And then the floor isn't like dirt with a carpet on it. It's out in the garden. They've got mother of pearl. Again, I'll put pictures down below so you guys can help imagine this too. But mother of pearl, marble, red feldspar, and this is what they've made a mosaic tile work on the floor out of. I mean, it would just be so pretty. Okay, and then it says drinks were served in an array of gold goblets, each with a different design. Okay, they didn't just make a mold and pour the gold cups. They didn't just pour the gold into this mold and then, okay, let me make another cup and make another cup and make another cup. No, these goblets would have been one-of-a-kind pieces. They would have been handcrafted and individually sculpted, okay? And it says each with a different design. So however many people they had with all these cups, there's a ton of them. Again, all made out of gold. I just can't get past that point. That is just insane. Okay, back to the text. Royal wine flowed freely according to the king's bounty. So, and the drinking was according to royal decree. You guys, royal decree. There was a royal decree issued about how much wine people could drink for this party. Royal decrees should have been like, oh, hey, this is the rules that I'm sending out over the kingdom. And that's exactly what it was, but about drinking. Okay. And the drinking was according to royal decree. And King Ahasuerus says, no restrictions. There are no restrictions. No restrictions, no responsibility. Okay, so I think this really shows Ahasuerus, shows his motives quite clearly at this point, right? So the party guests come in and he's trying to impress them, right? I don't know if he's showing them around his palace and his garden themselves for the 180 days and then this gigantic garden party. But you're walking through and here's your golden goblet handed to you at the door and you're like, oh, wine, thank you. And they're like, what kind of wine do you want? Let me go get it from you from the cellar. Do you want the 501, BC Merlot that we've aged in the oak barrels? I'm sure that's not what they drink. But when they're out, yeah, that sounds great. Whatever you want, we'll get it for you from the king's cellar, right? Here's your golden cup. Enjoy the gardens. And they're all like, what? This is crazy. This is so much money that's just being thrown around. I don't know. If I was a ruler, I might be walking around thinking, as much as I want, this is a good gig. Maybe when King Xerxes wants me to join him in battle against Greece, I might be willing to do that, because maybe I'll become as powerful as he is. And, at the very least, if he's this powerful, I really don't want to be on his bad side. So yeah, this is a pretty cool party, right? Okay. So hold on, back in my notes. The king did not care what they asked for. He just wanted to get them on his side, right? Also, at the end, once he conquered Greece, he would have so much more land. I'm sure he would have taken the Grecian people as slaves if he didn't kill them all. But his wealth would have been very much replenished. Anything that he spent on this party after he won this war with Greece, he just would have been way more powerful, way more affluent. And so he was probably considering this as just an investment towards his future, right? This party wouldn't even matter in the long run. It would be small potatoes considering what he's going to gain out of it in the long run. Okay. So then we enter in and we find out about another important character, and her name is Queen Vashti, right? So Queen Vashti, it says, also gave a feast for the women of King Ahasuerus' palace. Okay, so I wonder, with this particular party, was this Queen Vashti's idea? Did she decide that she didn't want to be left out, so she was going to host something for the women? Maybe King Ahasuerus actually planned this party also and had Queen Vashti host it, right? So Mark, this is all my opinion on this. So on how this came together. But Mark 3:25 says that if a house is divided itself against itself, that it can't stand. I'm wondering when King Ahasuerus brings all these kings and these nobles and these rulers of the provinces, if maybe some of them brought their wives along and they're hosting this party with, the queen. And he wants to make sure that all the wives are on board at this point of, King Ahasuerus wants all of these kings and nobles to join him in war and to back him up. Now, if I was a wife at that time, I might be sitting home going, I don't want you going to war with some other king. Whose land are we protecting? Why are we putting your life on the line? No, absolutely not. You're staying home where you belong and staying safe. Because it always works when women tell men that, right? So I'm wondering here if the king was trying to get Vashti again to cover this kind of a party so that she could be like, yeah, my husband's so great. He's got all this power. He's got all this wealth. Your husband should definitely join him. Who knows? Just a thought. Putting it out there. Okay. Sorry, jumping back into my notes. Okay, so in this case, to quote a wise word from my big fat Greek wedding, the man is the head, but the woman is the neck, and she can turn the head any way she wants, right? So again, I think this might have been possibly another one of the ploys because King Ahasuerus really put a lot of work into getting people to join him. Okay. On the 7th day, when the king was feeling good from the wine, rarely does anything good come after that type of a statement. After he was feeling good from the wine, Ahasuerus commanded Mehuman, Biztha, Harbona, Bigtha, Abigatha, Zethar, and Carcass, the 7 eunuchs who personally served him, to bring Queen Vashti before him with her royal crown. Okay. I don't know why it took 7 of his leaders to go and tell the queen one thing. But that's what he sent. All right. Personally served him to bring Queen Vashti before him with her royal crown. He wanted to show off her beauty to the people and the officials because she was very beautiful. I think I get the point. She was very pretty. Because she was very pretty. And he liked to look at her. And at this point, he's been drinking a lot, and he wants all the other people that are around to also get to see how pretty she is. All right. Not the worst thing in the world. She's the queen. We'll see, right? But Queen Vashti refused to come at the king's command. Ba, ba, ba! Okay. We're about to find out why. Or at least get an idea of it, right? So, she refused to come at the king's command that was delivered by his eunuchs. The king became furious, and his anger burned within him. Okay? Why is he furious? Wasn't this just one of those things where it's like, she decided not to show up? No, she decided not to show up after she had been summoned by the king in front of a whole lot of important people, and it's making him look real bad. And the whole point in this is to make him look exceptionally good. And if he is going to be trusted to be a leader of all of these armies, he'd kind of also have to have control over his wife at home. And right now, he doesn't. Doesn't make him look very good. And he's a hothead. He's truly a hothead. He makes a lot of rash decisions, and after he has time to cool down and think about them, he usually regrets them. So, there's that. All right. Now, I want you to just imagine this for a second too. This is what I think may have been going on. So, there's different scholars that have different opinions. This one is my opinion, right? Okay, so maybe over these 6 months when King Ahasuerus has had this gigantic party, he's done the same thing over and over and over again, right? Each time a new group of leaders comes in, he goes, look at my beautiful palace. Look at my beautiful gardens. Have as much wine as you want, right? Over and over and over again. And maybe this isn't the first time that Ahasuerus has summoned her to show off her looks, right? She's being a trophy wife, and she's just being showed off. Not even because she's beautiful and he wants to spend time with her and love on her. No, he just wants to use her as a pawn in this whole thing, right? Look how beautiful my wife is. If you join me in this, maybe, you could get a beautiful wife too, other leaders that are here, Or look at how much my wealth attracts beautiful things. Who knows? Again, my opinion. This is not biblically quoted off of this part. Okay. Maybe she's sick of being a trophy wife, and she decides for once she's not going to show up. It's the 180th time, and she's done, and she's sick of it. Not sure, right? Now, the King James Version says to bring Vashti, the queen, before the king with the royal crown, to shew the people and the princes her beauty, for she was fair to look on. Okay, now some of the scholars say to bring the queen before the king with her crown on. And nothing but her crown on. Yeah. If I had, again, I'm coming from a very different society where women actually have a right to speak their mind. But really, if the king told me to show up wearing nothing but a crown, I don't think I'd show up either. I might just be mad enough that I wouldn't graciously handle it. She very well, if this was the request, could have put on the crown and put on a beautiful attire and walked out. Who knows? But she decided not to. She refused. For whatever the reasons are, whatever we surmise or know from the text, she refused. That we do know. Okay, and we know that the king was very, very displeased with her. The end for now. I've got to go do some more studying, and we'll leave you there. So join me next time to find out what happens with King Ahasuerus and Queen Vashti. Does he conquer the kingdoms of Greece? Does he win the war? Do the people join him? I don't know, but you'll find out next time. Bye, guys.